took December 1776, Christmas Day. General Washington has had a very bad fall. In September, the Americans were defeated in Brooklyn. They barely survived by sneaking across the East River in the fog. They're then defeated in Manhattan. They're then defeated in White Plains. They're then defeated at the Palisades. They're then driven across New Jersey. By mid-December, the 30,000-man army has disappeared, and Washington is down to 2,500 effectives. 1/3 of those effectives do not have boots. They're marching with their feet wrapped in burlap. In fact, in the Trenton campaign, in the ice and snow, they will leave a trail of blood as they march 9 miles. Washington and his generals meet, and Washington says, this is the crisis of the revolution. We have to win a victory. And he proposes an extraordinarily daring plan. We will have 3 columns cross the Delaware River, which is frozen, has huge ice floes on it. We will cross at night. We will converge on Trenton. We will surprise the 800 German professional soldiers who are quartered there, capture them, capture their weapons and their equipment, come back across the river, and that victory will spark the American people. His generals all say to him, we can't do this. It's too complicated, it's too dangerous, it's too hard. Finally, Washington says, look, if we don't win a victory, this army is going to disappear. It's going to melt away. When it melts away, the revolution will be over. We will have lost. And when that happens, the British are going to hang all of us. So we have nothing to lose. Because we're going to be hung anyway. This way we have a fighting chance. So he has very strategically thought ahead. And for several months he's been encouraging Tom Paine. Tom Paine was a brilliant English rabble-rousing writer who had written Common Sense, the most important pamphlet during the Declaration of Independence, and a pamphlet which convinced people that they were in favor of freedom. He says to Paine, he's been saying to Paine for several months, I don't need you as a common soldier in the army, I need you as a writer, we need a new pamphlet. And Paine has produced the first chapter of a pamphlet called The Crisis, which describes these are the times that try men's souls. This is not the season of the summer patriot. Washington that night, as the troops are boarding the boats to cross the river, has the officers reading Paine to remind the men why they fight, what this is about. That this is the great cause of freedom, and they're going to risk their lives to see if they can create America. The password that night is victory or death. And they meant it. When they crossed the river, which takes longer than they thought it would, they discover that instead of one ravine between the landing point and Trenton, there are 2. So they've got to take horses and wagons and cannon down an icy slope, across a raging stream, up an icy slope, go down a mile, and go down another slope, across another stream, and up again. The result is, with exhausted men, 1/3 of them walking in burlap bags, they are 4 hours late. The other 2 columns haven't even gotten across the river. Washington's on his own. And they're 4 hours late. But, and this is why this campaign is such a miracle, the storm is so intense that while it is in agony, because it's cold, and there's this freezing snow, and the roads are frozen, and it's painful, it is so bad that the Germans have pulled all their guards inside. Because no rational person would be out in weather this bad. And so even though they arrive after dawn, there's no guard standing sentry. They should have been slaughtered. The Germans don't realize they're there till they're on top of them. And the Germans then are so paralyzed and so stunned that they collapse and surrender. 1 American is killed, and they capture 800 Germans, and all their cannon and all their weapons. and they take them back across the river. Within 2 weeks, there are 15,000 volunteers, because victory creates momentum. Now, I tell you that story. We wrote this novel to try men's souls because we wanted to remind every American that America is not about a guaranteed, safe, easy, comfortable, government-delivered world. America is about your right to dream about the valley, to dream about the panhandle, to dream about Wheeling, to dream about your own future, to dream about your children's future. And that dream requires you then take real risk and go out and live it out. But if you do it, it's amazing what we're capable of achieving as a country. Now, I think the most important single political and governmental slogan of the next 20 years is very simple. It's 2 + 2 = 4. I know it's bold. It's out on the edge. But I want you to think about it for a minute. When Clifton and I are doing a movie on Pope John Paul II visiting Poland in 1979 for 9 days. It's called 9 Days That Changed the World. Because both Lech Wałęsa in Poland and Václav Havel in Prague told us that was the decisive moment that shook the Soviet Empire, and that from that point on, people never again give respect to the dictatorship. And for 10 years, the Polish people are colliding with the dictatorship. And they developed the slogan, 2 + 2 = 4. They printed up signs that said 2 + 2 = 4. The communists couldn't exactly oppose them. I mean, it was pretty hard to go around and say, take down that terrible sign. But what it said to the Polish people was, if the government tells you 2 + 2 = 5, they're lying to you. If they tell you 2 + 2 = 3, they're lying to you. And so, it partly goes back to George Orwell in the novel 1984, where Orwell has the state torturer say to the innocent citizen he's torturing, if we tell you 2 + 2 = 5, you better believe it or I'll torture you some more. And the citizen eventually gets tired of being tortured and said, okay, 2 + 2 = whatever you say. But in the back of his head he's thinking, well, what if it's really 2 + 2 = 4? And it goes back to Camus' The Plague, a novel in which Camus writes, there are times that a man can be executed for saying 2 + 2 = 4 because the establishment can't afford to have the truth spoken. Now let me give you an example of what we're living through. I'm going to give you an American equation that's in the same tradition as 2 + 2 = 4. I want to see how many of you can complete the equation.